What's up YouTube? It's me, Jess, and I'm an opera singer. Today's video is Patron Pick of the Month, and for this month they have chosen David Phelps performing I Have Nothing. Let's go.
Share my life, take me for what I am, 'cause I'll never change all my colors for you. Take my love, I'll never ask for too much, just all that you are and everything that you do. I don't really need to look very much further. I don't want to have to go where you don't follow. I won't hold it back again. This passion inside can't run from myself. There's nowhere to hide. So don't make me close one more door. I don't want to hurt anymore. Stay in my arms if you dare. Or must I imagine you there? Don't walk away from me. No, I have nothing, nothing if I don't have you.
Pause. This is really nice. I love the acoustic take on this. Really nice introduction. The first thing I want to talk about is this idea of variation. When you go to listen to a cover, what makes a cover, in my opinion, really great are the variations that that individual artist brings to the covered song. It's easy to have a lot of bias towards an original song, making covered songs that much more harder to do and that much more harder to be received by the fan base of the original artist. By showing the differences that you can make within a composition while still keeping the actual foundation of the song and the meaning intact, I think that's what makes a great performance, and that really is shown here, especially right in the very beginning. You have the incorporation of the cello, and compared to the original by Whitney Houston, the cello is bringing much more warmer, rounder tones. From what I remember the original, the piano is at the forefront. You do get some strings in the beginning. However, I don't know if they're original strings or if they're strings that are played on a keyboard. You know how a keyboard can manipulate different sounds? That I'm not sure of. The strings in the original composition are a bit more on the brighter, pingier, tinny sound. I loved the incorporation of the cello in the beginning, and I especially loved how it had its own melody. Then moving into the piano part. The piano part for the beginning kept the originality of the original song by Miss Houston. However, it changed a bit before going into those big do right before the soloist comes in. I believe in the original, it just rotates between 3 notes, which is Whitney Houston sings it in the key of G major. Wow, that is really high. We're gonna go down 2 octaves. Okay, so this is the key I'm pretty sure Whitney Houston sings it in. The rotating three notes that you hear in the original and in this in the very beginning are notes 5, 7 to 1. Do, 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 do. And those three notes really are just repeated in the original, I believe, all the way up until you hear those do, 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 those four big hunking chords before the soloist comes in. This piece is in E flat major, which is a major third down from Whitney Houston's version, which is in G major. Totally fine considering he is a different voice type. And even if you are the same voice type, there is nothing wrong with transposing your pieces so long that it fits your voice. If you notice in the very beginning, the piano part, they do utilize what is happening in the original composition by Miss Houston. So as we remember, the first three notes are 5, 7 to 1. And you hear that in the piano in this composition. Those notes will be different because we are in a different key. In the key of E flat major, that is B flat, D to E flat, the tonic. You'll hear that will be repeated for a couple of phrases, and then a variation comes in, which was a really nice surprise. Instead of keeping those three notes going, he actually shifts it and goes that subtlety may not seem like a lot, but to me, it shows the effort that was put into making this a covered song. It was simple, it didn't last too long, and it got right back to what we all know and love about the beginning of the song, those big hunkin' four chords with the pause right before the soloist came in. Next, let's talk about Mr. Phelps and his voice and his phrasing. I particularly loved the way he opened up in the first line. Share my life. All three of those words are sung on the tonic note, which is E flat. We are in the key of E flat, and the tonic means your home note, scale degree 1. And instead of singing share my life, the same notes on all three of those words, he actually scoops up into the first two notes, and then the third note, he sings it right on pitch. You're not getting the perfect pitch right away. Instead, you're getting this delayed resolution into the actual note of the song. What's cool about that scooping technique at the very beginning, just on those two words, is what that does to the third word when you actually hear him sing right on the pitch on the word life. It gives this new emphasis to the word because you're not giving the same word all of the same attention. You're doing something different, and that can be done when you're singing the same note for all three words. Whitney Houston does that perfectly. Just because you have the same notes on multiple words back to back doesn't mean that it makes that particular line less emotional. That means that you're in the driver's seat and you need to do whatever it takes in order to make those three notes different. The second variation that I would like to talk about that Mr. Phelps does in the vocal line happens on the phrase stay in my arms. We have modulated up a minor third. In Whitney Houston's version, she does the same. She starts out in G major, and then she modulates up a third when the big break comes to B flat major. For the phrase stay in my arms, Whitney Houston utilizes the notes 1, 2, 5, and 3. For the key of B flat major, which she has modulated to, those notes would be Those notes are B flat, C, F, and D. Mr. Phelps began this song in E flat major. And when the modulation comes, and this is where we are for this phrase analysis, stay in my arms, we have modulated up a minor third to now be in the key of G flat major. Okay. Now, instead of utilizing the scale degrees 1, 2, 5, and 3, which Miss Houston does in the original, he instead utilizes these notes.
So don't make me close one mother. I don't want to hurt anymore. Stay in my arms if you dare. Or must I imagine you there?
The biggest difference between Mr. Phelps' phrase and Miss Whitney Houston's phrase are the first two notes. So the last two notes he keeps the same as Miss Houston, going from 5 and resolving to the last note, scale degree 3. The first two notes are the notes we want to pay attention to. In this key, the first two notes would be F up to G flat. T, do, 7, 1. That subtle difference, I think, stood out quite a bit to me, because the original is so well known, but also because of where it's going. So the big note in that phrase is scale degree 5 because it's extremely high. Listen to these two phrases back to back. The first is going to be Whitney Houston's version, but in the key of Mr. Phelps. Now here's Mr. Phelps' version. You hear the difference? To me, it's a bit more dissonant, and the resolution going up to the 1 and then scooping all the way up to the 5 makes it just a tad bit more difficult because the interval is slightly larger. So in Miss Whitney Houston's version, she's going from scale degree 2 to scale degree 5. In Mr. Phelps' version, he is going from scale degree 1 to scale degree 5. So the difference really is a whole step, that idea of the leap to the higher note. The last phrase of variation to look at by Mr. Phelps comes on the line, "Don't walk away from me." Now, in the original by Miss Houston, I will continue to compare considering this is a covered song. In the original, Miss Houston uses scale degrees 3, 5, 5, 6, 1, 1. In her key, that sounds like this. Three, 5, 5, 6, 1, 1. Now going to Mr. Phelps' key, which we are in the key of G flat major.
Must I imagine you there? Don't walk away from me now.
Similar to the example that we looked at before, the main difference are the first two notes. And in this case, he sat on the first two notes and gave them the same pitch. In this case, that is B flat. In the original, she jumps from her first note to scale degree 5. And considering his phrasing, he did take a pause before going into that larger jump, which may make it easier for some singers. Other singers, that's actually more difficult to do.
Stay in my arms if you dare, or must I imagine you there? Don't walk away from me now. You see through right to the heart of me. You break down my walls with the strength of your love. No, I never knew of a love like I've known it with you. Will our memories survive? One I can hold on to. I don't really need to look very much farther. I don't want to have to go where you don't follow. I won't hold it back again. This passion inside can't run from myself. There's nowhere to hide. Your love I remember forever. So don't make me close one more door. I don't want to hurt anymore. Stay in my arms if you dare. Or must I imagine you there? Don't walk away from me. No, I have nothing, nothing, nothing. Don't make me close one more door. I don't want to hurt anymore. Stay in my arms if you dare. Or must I imagine you there? Don't walk away from me. No, don't walk away from me. Don't you dare walk away from me. 'Cause I have nothing, nothing, nothing. If I don't have you, oh my darling, you.
Oh my goodness, that was so nice. And honestly, I was so nervous at the end because that song is just unforgiving. It just goes and goes and goes, and it requires so much chest voice. It's unbelievably difficult. I gained so much insight on technique listening to tenors, but I do have to listen to a well-seasoned tenor in order for me to really grasp techniques that would be useful to my singing. If you liked all that you saw, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and comment down below what piece by your favorite artist you would like me to do an analysis on. Lastly, make sure you check out the description box for ways you can keep in touch with me, get access to exclusive perks, and to check out the Soprano Notes blog. I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you soon.